Bismillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Because more than one of your friends asked the question about this variance, so I'm here to try explain how do you approach this question. Okay, so I'm also sharing this Excel for you to refer. You can check this from the. I think this is a pretty much mock exam, and it's actually a past year question. We are talking about material yield variance here, so I'm just gonna jump straight to the question where you would have two methods. I'm gonna show you both methods now. There are four ingredients. You have the F, E, B, and S: flour, eggs, butter, and sugar. And then you have a budgeted input, actual input, the difference, standard cost, and the variance. You know this already. Now, what you really have to be careful is that forget method 2 first. Which would be faster, but somehow can be tricky. So it depends. I think those who learn with Madam Zash, she would recommend that you use one method for both mix and yield variance. I think that is a good advice if you feel like you want to avoid confusion. If you want to practice both, from my point of view, that's also okay, but it's actually a good idea to stick to one method if you want. By the way, so method one, where you make it like a table method. So what you have to really be careful here is when you get the total here, is actually the total input that you require to make the cake. I repeat here, when we talk about yield, basically we talk about output. But when you use table method, the one in green here is actually input that you use to produce the output. So it must be the input to produce the output. So material mix is about input only, while material yield, well, it's about output, but it's output in relation to input. That's why when you use table method, first thing first, you need this total figure in the green boxes, again, or rectangles we call it. There must be input, either budgeted input or actual input to produce the actual output. Okay, so one by one. So if you look at the question, you actually produce, there is budgeted sales or production, 50,000, you can ignore that. Okay, because for usage, you will need to go for actual usage. And therefore, for actual usage, you need the actual production. So the 50,000 here is actually a distraction. Okay, so you will focus on 60,000 cakes. Okay, in other words, when the output, I'm talking about again, actual output is 60,000 cakes, what would be the budgeted input and what would be the budgeted output? In other words, so let me put it here. Yeah. So we have the output, which is 60,000 cakes. Yeah. So the output is in units. How many cakes? Because I told you, right? Output can either be stated, boleh disebut sebagai unit kek ke, biskut ke, nasi ke, tak kisahlah kan. But it can also be stated, dinyatakan dalam bentuk kg. But in this case, it is stated in the form of cakes. Okay, in the anyway. So you have two different figures here. To produce 60,000 cakes, how many kgs of input that you require compared to what was the actual input to produce this much of cakes? Faham tak kat situ kan? So this is input, the one that I'm circling right now. Maybe I can use a different color. This input and this input, budget and actual, are what that you need in the table method. Okay, what is the input to produce the output? This is what we call yield. Okay, yield. Yield is not output. And if you have understood that, then now we have to proceed. Okay. Okay. let's just ignore that. So to produce 60,000 cakes, the question has given you, okay, the input here, 23,478. 23,478. Do you need this much of input? Okay. And then output, which is 60,000 kg tu kan? No, sorry. 60,000 cakes tu, berat dia, okay? Berat dia, 60,000 is 21,600 kgs. Berat dia. Tapi bilangan cake dia 60,000. But you don't want this. You don't want what is the actual output in kg. You want the input. Sebab tu saya sebut awal-awal tadi. You need the actual input, which is 23,478. Here. 23,478. This is the actual input to produce the actual 60,000 cakes. Okay, let me write here. Actual 60,000 cakes. Okay. So if this is the input that happened actually, according to your budget, that's why you call it a budget kan? According to your standard, sepatutnya lah kan? If you want to produce 60,000 cakes, the budget tells you how much input do you need. How much input do you need? If you look at the standard, the total input for 1 cake is 0.4, not 0.36. In other words, if you use only 0.36, okay, 0.36, then you cannot have one complete cake, because whenever you use an input of a certain amount, let's say in this case 0.36 ke apa, there will be a normal loss of 10%. So your cake must be 0.36 kg, faham tak? One cake kan 0.36. Kalau you memang pakai betul-betul 0.36, dia keluar jadi 0.36, tak apa. Sebab memang you nak 0.36, but the thing is, there will be a normal loss. Sebab tu untuk hasilkan satu cake, yang mana satu cake tu nanti 0.36 lah. Tetapi you kena masukkan lebih. For you to produce one cake, you need 0.4. Nampak tak? You need 0.4. Boleh? So when you need 0.4, why is that so? Because when you use 0.4, you will lose 0.04 as a loss, leaving behind 0.36. Tapi tak apalah, because there is one cake. Nampak tak? So to produce one cake, you don't need only 0.36, you need 0.4. Okay? Sebab itu tengok cara yang paling cepat, you teruslah ambil. According to standard, it tells us that for one cake, you need 0.4. Khalas, habis. One cake standard kata requires 0.4. Mana 0.4 dalam tu dah termasuk some 10% that you expect already it will be lost. Faham tak? Dah termasuk dalam 0.4. So maknanya you masukkan lebih lah. Kan? So sebab tu you darat je lah dengan 0.4. Apa yang darat 0.4? 60,000. 60,000 cake, whereby one cake requires 0.4. Khalas, habis. Nampak tak? Okay. Or just to make you understand better, I hope. Let's say you want to take the one after loss, which is 0.36. Okay. So one cake takes 0.36. Tengok one cake takes 0.36. So you want to take 0.36, but you want to produce 60,000 cakes. Tengok apa jadi. So you will tell us that you only need 21,600 kg. But this is correct. No, this is not correct. Why? Because you have not included the normal loss. So sepatutnya, for you to produce 60,000 cakes, you should include flour, eggs, butter, sugar, more than 0.36. More tu banyak mana? More tu. For each cake, you need to add extra 0.04. Betul tak? So you akan letak here, contoh lah ni 0.04. Ini memang you sengaja letak yang you tahu, you letak ni sebenarnya dia akan loss nanti, dia akan evaporate ke, hilang ke, and things like that. You darat dengan 60,000. Tengok it is this much, and when you total up, this is what you want at the end of it, but you can add extra ingredient 2.4 ni, sebab dia losses kan, ni akan hilang nanti. So you akan dapat exactly 24,000. Nampak tak? That's why you need right from the beginning, input must be 24,000, not 21,600. Because 21,600 ni assuming there is normal loss. There is no loss. But because there is loss, So you will need more than just 21,600. That's why you multiply by 0.4 right from the beginning. That is the fastest way of doing it, of doing this. I hope you understand that. Or lastly, cara yang terakhir. Just nak bagi you faham lah. Dalam exam you buat yang ni tadi. This one, 60,000 multiplied by 0.4. Inside 0.4, you already consider the normal loss. Now, another way of doing this is that when you multiply by 0.36 here, you multiply by 60,000. This will give you a figure of input without considering the loss yet. 0.36 is only 90%, betul tak? That's why you can multiply by, you want to get back the figure before the loss, which is, dapat tak buat apa? I multiply by 100 over 90 because 0.36 here is actually 90%. But you need 100%. Input maksudnya. Because nanti akan ada 10% normal loss. So bila you tekan enter, nampak tak you akan dapat exactly the same. If you want to see that, kenapa pakai 0.4? Dia tak ambil normal loss ke? Then you buat cara macam ni. Mana dia ambil this one, and then you have to multiply by 100 over 90 because this is considering the loss. Or, okay, if you don't like this way, maybe you can make it 0.4 divided by 0.36. Still, this 0.4 kan 100% tadi. 0.36 is 90%, sama je. If I click enter, tada, 24,000, exactly the same. Wallahu a'lam. I want to go for the second method, but I think let me stop it here first, and I hope you guys understand how the calculation is being done. Thank you. Allah.